Alright, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Pistons. They have been very good this season, exceeding expectations, playing very good basketball, and might even make a playoff appearance in the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk all about that here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it a whole lot. Link to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So, don't mind my hair, okay? I'm sorry. My hair looks like this now. Just got to deal with it for the video. But that's not what this is about. This is about Detroit basketball. They are back. The Pistons are playing some really good ball. They're currently 22 and 21, sitting at ninth in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. And yeah, I mean, this is the team that we remember last season where they were trying to take a step forward in their rebuild, and they actually took a step back. They regressed. We only won 14 games last year. Things were very bad. Went on a 28-game losing streak at one point throughout the year. It was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And this offseason coming in, changed some things up, brought in a new management team, new coach, new players, vets in the locker room, all that stuff. And now we're here. They're 22 and 21. They're a game over 500. They've been around the play-in the Eastern Conference for the entirety of the season. It actually looked like a competent basketball team, which is what we kind of wanted coming into this season. Like, all we wanted for them, just be a competent team. Just don't be the worst team in the league again. Just don't do that. And they have definitely exceeded the expectations even better. Like, I thought them just being like a 25 to 30 win team would be cool. But now you look at them, they have 22 wins. We're not even in February yet. Like, they've been very, very good. They're by All Star weekend, they will be double digit games better than what they were last year. Just a great job by everybody in Detroit for really being better than expected, like really exceeding expectations and just being a lot better than expected into this year. Got to give a lot of credit to JB Bickerstaff, the new coach over there. Definitely should get some Coach of the Year love. He has been he has brought this team back to being good. I mean, last year they brought in Monty Williams after he was fired from the Phoenix Suns, kind of poached him out of. He said multiple times he was going to take maybe an off year or two, and Detroit just gave him the biggest coaching contract ever, and kind of forced him to say, "Hey, come to Detroit, come here, come here, come here," and he did. And you could definitely tell it wasn't the greatest connection, wasn't the greatest relationship, all that stuff. He fired after 1 year, and they bring in JB Bickerstaff. He was just fired from the Cavaliers job, and he has this team very, very good. And this is what JB Bickerstaff does. I mean, look at what he did with the Cavaliers, where he inherited a Cavalier team that was a 17, 18 win team. LeBron left, looked like they had nothing for the future, and brought them all of a sudden very quickly, in fact, into being a 40 something win playoff team that, like, and even like one of the top teams of the Eastern Conference. And then obviously, now he's in Detroit. But this is what Jay Bickerstaff does. He takes teams that are in the dumpster fire, the bottom, the cellar of the NBA, and he brings them to being a competent team. Which what he's done in Detroit, where they were the worst team in the league, and now they look like they might make a playoff appearance in the Eastern Conference in just 1 year. Like, that's just great. And as a Cavs fan, myself personally, that's what Jay Bickerstaff does. He is a good coach in these kind of situations, and he is Detroit looking in a great situation right now. Looking at the numbers and how Detroit has been this good, um, over on the entirety of the year, they have the 17th rated offense, the 14th rated defense, and are 17th in net rating. Numbers aren't crazy, about average offensively, average defensively, pretty solid. But in the year 2025, that's where they've really taken their jump. Since the calendar turned to 2025, they're 8-3, and they've been very good. All the next numbers I'm going to tell you are just from 2025, since January 1st. They have the 16th rated offense, the number 4 defense, and are ninth in net rating. So having an average offense, but an elite defense, which is what Bickerstaff did in Cleveland, where he brought them to being one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Detroit has been one of the better defensive teams so far this season as well. And since 2025, it's taken another step. They've really found their identity on the defensive end. Look at some of their offensive numbers. They are 14th field goal percentage, 10th three-point percentage. So solid shooting. They don't really have a whole lot of crazy offense in terms of scores and all that stuff. They do have better spacing, which is what you see in the 3-point percentage, which is 10th. They do have better spacing and better players, but they don't have a high-powered offense, but it's been their defense. Looking at their defensive numbers since January 1st, they're 8th in rebounds, they're 10th in points off turnovers, and 2nd in fast break points. So just being able to score in transition and off turnovers and getting easy buckets have been really good. They're 7th in opponent points in the paint, so they're one of the better teams in the league at not giving up paint points. 4th in opponent field goals made, 9th in opponent field goal attempts, 7th in opponent field goal percentage. So not letting teams get a whole lot of shots up, doing a good job there. 7th in opponent three-pointers made and 10th in opponent three-point attempts. So they're not a team that's going to give up a lot of threes. Teams do make threes on them at an average rate, but they're not giving up a whole lot of them. The rebounding has also been very good as well. They're 5th in opponent offensive rebounds, 6th in opponent defensive rebounds, and are 3rd in opponent rebounds per game. So they're not going to give up a whole lot of rebounds and extra opportunities for their team. They're closing out possessions. 10th in opponent assists and 6th in opponent points per game. So basically, almost every stat defensively, they're pretty good at it. They're above average, really above average, in many defensive categories. So show you they're a good all-around defense, and that's how they've been winning games. Looking at their games of 2025 that they've won, they beat the Magic, beat the Hornets, Minnesota, Portland, and Brooklyn. They lost to Golden State. Then they won back-to-back games against Toronto and in New York. Then they lost back-to-back games to Indiana, Phoenix, and last night they got a really good win yesterday on MLK Day against the Rockets in Houston, where they were in control throughout most of the game. So just some really good wins, really good basketball playing. Cade Cunningham is what we have to talk about. And this year he's just taken another step. But last year I thought he was pretty good, but I mean Detroit was really bad, so no one really cared. This year people care now, and he's also taken another jump to his game. He give you 24.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 9 assists on pretty nice efficiency for how much he has the ball in his hands. Like, Cade Cunningham has the ball in his hands a lot, which is because this Detroit team, there's no one that can really take the pressure off of Cade Cunningham. They don't really have another ball handler. I mean, it was Jaden Ivey before he got hurt, but they don't really have another guy that can kind of do the things that Cade Cunningham does, even close. So, yes, he does have a lot of turnovers, and yes, he's going to have some nights where he has bad efficiency. I mean, last night he had, 10, 11 turnovers. But, I mean, the amount of time, the frequency of how much he has the ball in his hands and how much he has to kind of do for this Detroit Pistons team, it's a lot. It's a lot on the workload. You have to understand situations and circumstances. And he's been great. I mean, he's been scoring great on all three levels. I mean, he can get to the bucket. The mid-range game is butter. Even his post-up game, the three-point shot has become reliable. Where coming out of Oklahoma State, the three-point shot was a little bit of a question. Now it's not anymore. He's a 37% three-point shooter. He does that. Playmaking, he does that. Rebounding, he's 6'8", so as a point guard, he's gonna be able to get a lot of rebounds like that. And I've loved Cade Cunningham since coming into the NBA out of Oklahoma State. The first thing I loved about him was his pace. I just love the way he plays the game in terms of his pace. It's very Luka Doncic-esque, where he plays at his own tempo. He always looks like he's in control. Always looks like he knows what he's doing. Like, he's not gonna have like the flashiest game. But you can't speed him up. You can't speed him up. You can't force him to play a different way. He's gonna do what he's gonna do when he wants to do it, and it's working. And he's playing. He's should be a lock for the All-Star game. Might even be an All NBA conversation depending on how the Pistons finish this season. And he has been phenomenal. He's shown that he is the building block. He's going to be a future star in this league. I mean, I made a video last year, in the middle of the year, talking about how he's the future star that you're forgetting about, and he is showing it now. He is a star. Like, he is super, super, super good. And Detroit better keep on to him for as long as they can. And he's still only 23 years old, by the way. So he's been really good. And then just got to give credit to Trajan Langdon and the front office for putting together, making some good moves in the offseason. I mean, Malik Beasley might be one of the best signings in this free agency. I mean, they got him for a minimum. And he's giving you 16 points per game, shooting 39% from 3 on 9 attempts. And he has had some big performances where he's had 6, 7 three-pointer games. Like, he's been so good and so consistent for this Detroit team. I mean, he's been starting the last couple games ever since Jaden Ivey went out with the injury. Like, he's a big part of this team, not only on the court in terms of being a spacer, which is what they desperately need, but even in the locker room, even in the culture. Like, you could see he's laughing on the bench, talking to the young guys, hyping up the fans. He's been super involved in kind of setting a tone in Detroit and kind of being like a vet in the locker room a little bit. So he's been just more than just on the court. He's been off the court as well, really helping this team. And he's been a big part of this Detroit Pistons team being as good as they are. So shout out to Malik Beasley for doing that. Bringing in Tobias Harris, where numbers don't jump at you. I mean, 13, 6, and 2, 44% shooting, 34% from 3. Cool. But he's just doing, this is what Detroit brought him to do. Just be a solid vet that we can rely on being consistent. Like, you paid him a lot of money, yes, but you didn't pay him a lot of money to be a 24 point per game all star type player and take 25 shots. That's not what we want Tobias Harris here for. We want Tobias Harris to give you a good 15, 18. Sometimes if you need 20, rebound the ball a little bit, hit a couple shots, and just be a good veteran that will help us on the court and be a positive on the court. And that's what Tobias Harris does at this point. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been solid this year. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr., we know about THJ. He's a streaky guy. You know, when he's hot, he's going to be very valuable. When he's not, he's going to be on the bench. And so far this year, 38% from three, just been a flamethrower. And that's kind of what you kind of need to players like Tim Hardaway Jr. There's a role for guys like Tim Hardaway in this league where it's kind of like a shot chucker role. But sometimes as a team, you need that, especially for Detroit that doesn't have a lot of spacing to begin with and doesn't have a lot of talent out there. Tim, just shoot the ball. Because sometimes we just need you to shoot ball because sometimes it's going to go in. And we also just need some more pressure off of Cade Cunningham. And we don't need Cade to take 25 shots every night. So Tim's a guy that he can get hot and have a 20, 25 point game, hit 6 or 7 threes, you know? And you need players like Tim Hardaway Jr. on your team, and he's been doing that. Jalen Duren, I would like him to be a whole lot better. I'm a big Jalen Duren guy. You know, I would like him to be a lot better. But recently, he's been doing his thing. I mean, shooting 70% from the field, give you almost 10 rebounds per game on a block. He's been solid. Ausar Thompson is back, which is really, really nice. You know, it just brings so much energy, athleticism, good defensively, rebounding, just brings you all that. And then you have Ron Holland, your rookie, who kind of does the same thing. You can just switch him out, which is why Ausar Thompson starts now. Because when Ausar comes out, Ron Holland, you do it. It's your role now. Defense, energy, athleticism, do that. So yeah, even Isaiah Stewart has had some decent moments this year. So Detroit, they put together a pretty solid team. It's not a roster that's gonna like be like, oh my god, look at this roster, but just a very solid put together team that's competent in the league. And that's all that Detroit has needed, really. They haven't needed, to swing for the fences, go get 3 All-Stars. They just needed a competent roster, a competent team, competent organization. And that's what they've done this year. Trajan Langdon has been very good and bringing in the right pieces. JP Bickerstaff has been very good at putting the pieces together on the court, and the players have been very good at doing their thing. And that's something Detroit hasn't had in a very long time. Like I enjoy watching the Detroit Pistons, mostly for Cade Cunningham, but still, I enjoy watching the Detroit Pistons. And when's the last time you could say about a Detroit Pistons basketball team? I enjoy watching them. Probably Blake Griffin when he had his All NBA year, but even then, it wasn't like we were watching for the Pistons. We were watching for Blake Griffin and watching what he's gonna do. Like that was the last time the Pistons were actually like I don't even want to say a relevant team because you already knew they were gonna win 40 games and get swept by the Bucks in the first round. So like this is the first time in a very long time that Detroit has actually been a team that people kind of care for, players that they care for, a team that actually can you enjoy watching on the court. So that's a win in itself. Even like throwing out the record and all that stuff, just having that in itself is a win for them. Now you combine that with being over 500, the first time we've been over 500 and this late in the season, and who knows how long. Probably gonna have an All Star for the first time since Blake Griffin back in 2018, 2019. Like being like potentially making a playoff. They're probably gonna make the play in, potentially making a playoff appearance this year. Like it might not be a long playoff appearance, but it's a playoff appearance, no doubt. It's gonna go on the record as a playoff appearance for Detroit, and that's a win. I mean, everything about Detroit this season has just been a win for them. This is something they needed. Really, they finally found something that works. A competent coach, good players on their team. Like they finally found it, And you just got to give a whole lot of credit to everybody in the Detroit Pistons organization for climbing out of rock bottom. They've climbed out of rock bottom. They look competent now. They look good. You know, what are they going to do the rest of the year? We just got to wait and see. Are they going to be a 45-win team? Who knows? Are they going to make a playoff appearance? Who knows? Maybe. You know, like we just got to wait and see what they're going to do the trade deadline. Are they going to be buyers? Like what are we going to see at the trade deadline? Like yeah, just a lot of good happening in Detroit right now. Very shout out to the Pistons fans out there. You know, I know it's been a long time suffering. Probably I'm not a Piston fan, but I can tell probably been a lot of suffering over the past couple of years, and now you finally get to enjoy a decent basketball team, which is, shout out to y'all for staying through that. And yeah, let's see how Detroit keeps going, man. Just a really nice story on the season. A really nice story. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it a whole lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.